First of all, I would like to thanks to the grace of heaven, the virtue of our holy teachers, and the mercy of 老前人 and 前人, and Tao transmitting masters, and all of you to give me this opportunity to share the great learning with you. In the beginning, I would like to give you a quick introduction to the 4 books of Confucianism. These texts are crucial for understanding Confucian thought. The first book is the Annals, also known as 论语. It was recorded by Confucius' disciple and preserves the conversations between Confucius and his students. The Annals is considered a starting point for studying Confucianism, and many people begin their study with this text. However, as it mainly consists of dialogues, reading it alone is not sufficient for a complete understanding of Confucian thought. The second book is The Great Learning, authored by Zengzi, a prominent disciple of Confucius. The third book is The Doctrine of the Mean, written by Zisi, Confucius' only grandson. These 2 books, The Great Learning and The Doctrine of the Mean, offer a systematic and comprehensive teaching of Confucianism, presenting the essence and core principles of the philosophy of Confucius. To fully understand Confucianism, these 2 books are essential reads. The last book is the Mencius. These 4 books are the 4 books of Confucianism. Next, I would like to discuss what Confucianism is. The Chinese character 儒 represents Confucianism and consists of 2 Chinese characters. On the left, the character is for human, and on the right, the character is for need. Together, 儒 signifies what human needs. This is what Confucianism means. Confucianism, sometimes referred to as Ru School, is a philosophical and ethical system based on the teachings of Confucius. It can be divided into several major categories, which I will outline below. First, ethical and moral doctrine. In the Annals, Confucius frequently discussed various virtues such as benevolence, righteousness, filial piety, and 君子. While 君子 is often translated as gentleman or nobleman, I prefer moral person because it better conveys the idea of someone who is virtuous. Confucius extensively explored these virtues, encouraging people to learn and practice them. Second, educational thoughts. During Confucius' time, only the nobility had access to education. However, Confucius believed that anyone who wished to learn should be taught, regardless of their social status. This is the idea of educating all without discrimination. In Chinese, we call it 有教无类. 3. Political ideology. Confucius advocated for rule by virtue, in contrast to the modern emphasis on rule by law. He also believed that rulers should provide moral education to their people, teaching virtues such as benevolence, righteousness, and filial piety. 4. Philosophical thoughts. Confucius also discussed Tao, the nature, and the way of heaven and humanity. While Taoism, Laozi, and the Tao Te Ching are more commonly associated with Tao, Confucius did address the concept of Tao, nature, and the way of heaven as well. Next, I would like to give you a quick introduction to Confucius. Confucius was a great thinker, philosopher, educator, politician, and the founder of Confucianism. He held official positions in the state of Lu for 3 years. Under Confucius' governance, Lu state had a clear and upright political system with good public security, and the people enjoyed a peaceful and prosperous life. However, Confucius was forced to leave his official positions due to his high moral standards. After leaving office, he traveled to various countries to promote his ideas. After return, he focused on education and writing and revised the six classics in his later years. Confucius' influence was profound. Confucianism became the mainstream ideology of traditional Chinese society and extended its impact to countries such as Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. Next, I would like to talk about Zengzi, the author of Great Learning. Zengzi was a prominent disciple of Confucius and became the leader of a Confucian school after Confucius' death. He is renowned for his filial piety. One of Zengzi's most famous quotes is, "I examined myself multiple times every day. Have I been loyal and diligent in handling matters for others? Have I been honest and trustworthy in my interactions with friends? Have I regularly reviewed and practiced the teachings I have received?" This advice is well regarded and widely known among those who read the Annals. Zengzi's filial piety is also highlighted in the story. Mother bit her finger, son fell hard day. One day, while Zengzi was out cutting firewood, a guest suddenly arrived at his home. His elderly mother didn't know what to do and became anxious, and she bit her finger hard. Instantly, Zengzi felt a sharp pain in his heart, sensing that his mother may be in trouble, and he rushed back home. He knelt in front of his mother and asked what happened. His mother said, "A guest came unexpectedly, so I bit my finger, hoping you will return soon." This story, part of the 24 filial piety stories of China, illustrates Zengzi's deep connection with his mother through his utmost filial piety. When people first hear this story, they might wonder if Zengzi had a supernatural power. In reality, Zengzi was an ordinary person whose strong connection with his mother stemmed from his deep filial piety. Doctrine of Ming says, "Those who attain utmost sincerity can foresee what is to come." In our Taoist society, you may have heard the story about Shimu and Baishui Shendi. They are examples of individuals who, by attending utmost sincerity, are able to foresee future events. Our holy teacher advises that we should not seek to learn and gain supernatural powers. Instead, if we sincerely cultivate our moral qualities to the highest level, our true nature will guide us and reveal the way whenever needed. Now let's move on to the meaning and the purpose of the Great Learning. What does the Great Learning mean? In Chinese, great, 大 implies something big and significant, while learning, 学 refers to the process of acquiring knowledge. Therefore, the Great Learning is about learning great. What is exact meaning of learning great? First, it means learn from the great. This involves learning from saints and sages, such as Emperor Yao, Emperor Shun, and King Wen of Zhou. If you are familiar with Chinese history, you know that Yao, Shun, and King Wen are revered as ancient sage kings. In addition, we can learn from the nature such as heaven, earth, and water. When referring to these things, we can learn from their virtues and attributes that can benefit us. For example, in the I Ching, or known as I Ching or Book of Changes, heaven is described as having the property of firm and vigorous movement. This suggests that A 君子, a virtuous person, should constantly strive for self-improvement. The daily ceaseless cycle of sunrise and sunset serves as a reminder that a virtuous person should also be persistent in their efforts. Similarly, in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu praises the virtue of water for its ability to adapt and benefit all things, which provides another lesson in humility and selfless devotion. The first meaning of the great learning is to learn from these great examples. The next step is to apply this learning to achieve greatness ourselves and to teach others how to do the same. The ultimate goal of the great learning is to become a great person, zen and sage, like Confucius and Sakyamuni Buddha. In summary, the great learning involves: first, learn from the great; second, learn to be great; and third, ultimately become great. This is the purpose and the teaching of the book Great Learning. The Great Learning has gone through several versions over time. Initially, it was just a chapter within the Book of Rites, not a standalone book. The Book of Rites documents and elaborates on the rituals and ceremonies of the Zhou dynasty. Later, Zhu Xi extracted this chapter from the Book of Rites and made it a separate book, now known as the Great Learning. In addition to the Great Learning, Zhu Xi also extracted another chapter, the Doctrine of the Mean, and combined these with the Analects and the Mencius to create the 4 books which we study today. Zhu Xi also divided one chapter of the classics. Zhu Xi also defined one chapter of classic and 10 chapters of commentaries in the Great Learning. Originally, in the Book of Rites, the Great Learning was just an article with no defined chapter. Zhu Xi not only structured the text, but also introduced the 3 guiding principles and the 8 steps of learning, which I will share with you later. Lastly, there is what I call the holy revelation of the Great Learning, 大学正式 in Chinese. This book was written through spiritual channeling in 1926 and is annotated by Lü Dongbing, one of the 8 immortals, along with Confucius, Yanhui, Zengzi, Zisi, Mencius, and Wenzhongzi. Their spirits descended to earth through a holy medium to interpret the Great Learning. Now, I have a quick question. Is channeling superstitious or anti-scientific? If you browse Amazon website, you will find numerous channeling books available for sale, especially in the United States. A few days ago, I took a screenshot of some bestsellers in the New Age channeling category. The top book is Don't Wait Till You're Dead, Spirits Advice from the Afterlife. The second book with over 10,000 ratings shows that many people have purchased it. The third book is titled Mediumship, Sacred Connection with Loved One Across the Veil. Another notable title is You Are a Channel, Receive Guidance from Higher Realms, Ascended Masters, which ranked 8th. The holy interpretation of the Great Learning is essentially similar to these books, offering guidance from higher realms, with Confucius and his ascended disciples providing profound insights. I encourage you to read the book Holy Interpretation of the Great Learning and receive instruction directly from Confucius and his prominent followers. Don't dismiss it simply because I encourage you to read the holy interpretation of the Great Learning, 大学正式, and receive instruction directly from Confucius and his prominent disciples. Don't ignore it simply because it's a channeling book. People around the world are reading and embracing such books, so there must be value in exploring it as well. The differences between the Great Learning and the Holy Interpretation of the Great Learning can be summarized in two major aspects. At first, there is a revision of the classic text. The Holy Interpretation of the Great Learning includes revision of the original classic text due to the misplacement of bamboo slips in the Book of Rites. Zhu Xi, in his version of the Great Learning, also acknowledges that some texts were missing. However, unlike ancient scholars who commented on the classics without altering the original text, this book directly revised the classic text. The combination of these revisions with channeling has made the book controversial. At last, in our Tao society, the holy interpretation of the Great Learning was initially chosen in advanced class. However, a few years ago, there was a shift back to the Zhu Xi's version. This decision was not a dismissal of the whole book. Only the revised text of the Great Learning is not adapted. The commentary by the saints in the holy interpretation of the Great Learning are still highly valuable for understanding the Great Learning. In ancient times, texts were carved onto bamboo slips, which limited the amount of contents that could be conveyed. The holy interpretation offers a more detailed interpretation of the Great Learning, providing insights from Confucius and his prominent disciples through channeling, which allowed for more extensive and detailed explanations. Since the commentary remains a valuable resource, incorporating insights from the holy interpretation can be beneficial when studying or introducing the Great Learning, even if the revised classic text is not adopted in our Tao society. The core ideas and message of both versions are basically identical. So the commentary in the holy interpretation can effectively complement Zhu Xi's version. I will also take the ideas from the holy interpretation when explaining the Great Learning. At last, this book is often overlooked as it is written in classical Chinese, making it hard to read. Don't miss it. The chapter on the Great Learning in the Book of Rites, Li Ji, is primarily used for reference today. The current standard version of the Great Learning is 大学章句, compiled by Zhu Xi. In my view, the holy interpretation of the Great Learning, 大学正式, is a valuable yet often overlooked book. I encourage everyone to study, to read this text, and learn from it. In addition to Zhu Xi's version of the Great Learning, we will now begin studying the main text of the Great Learning. At the very beginning, Zhu Xi provides a brief commentary introducing the Great Learning by quoting his teacher Cheng Yi, who said, "The Great Learning, the book passed on by Confucius to later generations, served as the gateway for beginners in cultivating virtues. It is solely because of this book that we can observe the steps and order of the learning in ancient times today." And the analects and the mentions are next to it. Those who aspire to learn to be great must start from this book, as it almost certainly leads them on the right path. From Zhu Xi and Cheng Yi's point of view, the Great Learning is essential for those who wish to learn Confucianism and cultivate virtues. It provides a systematic and comprehensive way to understand Confucianism. This is Zhu Xi's commentary at the beginning of the Great Learning. The text begins with the phrase 大学之道, which translates into the way of the great learning. The word 在 means lies in. Duxi identifies the three guiding principles of the great learning, known as 三纲领 in Chinese. Three guiding principles. The first principle is 明明德. The first Chinese character 明 is a verb, meaning manifest. The second 明 is an adjective, means bright. The third character 德 means virtue. Together, this phrase translates to manifest bright virtue, which is the first guiding principle. The second principle is 清明, and the third is 止於至善. Therefore, the way of the great learning lies in these three guiding principles. To learn how to be great, Zengzi presents the way of the great learning, which comprises three guiding principles and 8 steps of learning. The three guiding principles are as follows. 明明德 manifests bright virtue, 清明 and 止於至善. In addition to these three guiding principles, the book also outlines the 8 steps of learning. 格物致知诚意正心修身齐家治国平天下. The great learning essentially explains these 11 key concepts, the three guiding principles and the 8 steps of learning. Now I will begin with an explanation of the first guiding principle, 明明德, manifest bright virtue. Virtue, in this context, refers to the bright and beautiful qualities within us. Many of you may have heard the 5 constant virtues: benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trustworthiness. Additionally, there are 8 virtues: filial piety, brotherly love, loyalty, sincerity, propriety, righteousness, incorruptibility, and sense of shame. In addition, there are also other virtues such as kindness, honesty, modesty, humility, integrity. All these virtues represent the bright and beautiful qualities inherent in human nature. Therefore, to manifest bright virtues means to show others the bright and beautiful qualities within us, or to reveal our inner virtue. This raises a question: does everyone possess these bright virtues, even those who seem bad or evil? The answer lies in understanding true nature. I'll begin with the Confucian text in the Doctrine of the Mean. The first sentence, as shown on the screen, consists of 5 Chinese characters. The first character means heaven. The second means life. The third and fourth together means is called. And the last character means nature. When combined, what heaven confers is called nature. The second sentence, as shown on the screen, also consists of 5 Chinese characters. The first character means in accordance with. The second means nature, and the last means Tao. When combined, in accordance with the nature is called Tao. The last sentence, as shown on the screen, also consists of 5 Chinese characters. The first character means cultivate. The second means Tao, and the last means education. When combined, the sentence reads, cultivating Tao is called education. Let's put all together and examine closely. Education, particularly in Confucianism, is to learn about Tao because Zisi introduced us the concepts of nature and Tao. Therefore, after we learn about Tao, we then cultivate it. What does it mean to cultivate Tao? It means to act in accordance with nature, which is called Tao. What nature? The nature bestowed upon us. What nature? The nature bestowed upon us by heaven, as mentioned in the first sentence. What heaven confers upon us is called nature. The nature here is also referred to as our true nature. Thus, cultivating Tao is about restoring our true nature. We all possess this true nature, but it is subtle, intangible, and invisible. Without the teachings of ancient saints or Buddhas, we wouldn't be aware of the existence of our true nature. Now that we understand both our true nature and Tao, we should cultivate Tao to restore our true nature. The concept of the true nature can also be found in other philosophies or religions as well. In Buddhism, when Sakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment, he said, everyone is born with true nature. However, their delusion and attachment prevent them from being enlightened. What does Buddha nature mean? Buddha nature is an inherent quality that enables a person to attain Buddhahood. By definition, if someone lacks Buddha nature, it would mean they could never attain Buddhahood under any circumstances. Therefore, Buddha nature is the fundamental quality or prerequisite for attaining Buddhahood. Buddha said, everyone is born with Buddha nature, meaning that everyone has the potential to attain Buddhahood. But why do people fail to recognize or manifest this nature? It is because of their delusion and attachment. In Tao Te Ching, chapter 25, there is something mysteriously formed. In Tao Te Ching, chapter 25, there is something mysteriously formed. It existed before heaven and earth. It is the mother of all things in the universe. I don't know its name, so I call it Tao. Lao Tzu introduced the concept of Tao, which is the mother of all things in the universe, and it existed before heaven and earth. How about Christianity? Are there similar concepts in Bible? The Lord God, as you might have heard, formed the man from the dust of the ground. The Lord God, as you may have heard, formed man from the dust of the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. How did a man become a living being? It was because of the breath of life. Where did this breath of life come from? It is from God. What is the relationship between God and Tao? Let's check the next paragraph. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. If we link this to chapter 25 of the Tao Te Ching, Tao existed before heaven and earth. Tao is the mother of all things. In the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the world, and the world here is Tao. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. What is the breath of life? The breath of life makes man a living being. We could say that Tao was with God. Tao was God, and the breath of life is from God, from heaven. The breath of life is what makes a man a living being, since we are alive. So the breath of life is in you, in me, and in everyone. In Tao Te Ching chapter 6, it says, the Valley Spirit never dies. It is called the mysterious female. The gateway of the mysterious female is the root of heaven and earth. It is ever present and continuously functioning. What is the Valley Spirit? If you receive the Tao and know the three treasures, especially the first one, the Holy Gate, you know what it is and where it is. And check the name Valley Spirit, the spirit in a valley. The Valley Spirit is our holy gate. It is our true nature. It is Tao. So you cannot know it unless you receive Tao. Let me conclude with the concept of the true nature. In Confucianism, in the book of the Doctrine of the Mean, it says, what heaven confers to us is called nature. Buddha said, everyone is born with Buddha nature. In Bible, the breath of life is from God and Tao. In Tao Te Ching, it says, the valley spirit never dies. In all above these religions, different terms and different names are used, but they all refer to the same thing. True nature, Tao within us, Tao within you and me and everyone, regardless of whether one is good, bad, or even the worst. True nature is the Tao within us. Our true nature comes from heaven and furthermore from God. That's why in Chinese, we say we are 老母分灵. Our true nature is from God and is part of God. Everyone has true nature and everyone's true nature is the same. Sakyamuni Buddha attained Buddhahood. You can too. Confucius became a saint. You can too. True nature has many names. When you hear the terms like true nature, true self, Buddha nature, or conscience, they all refer to the same thing, true nature. Let's go back to our question. Does everyone possess bright virtues? We know everyone has true nature, and everyone's true nature is the same. True nature originates from Tao, and human virtues such as benevolence, righteousness, and filial piety are the manifestation of our true nature. True nature is innate. So bright nature is innate. So the answer to this question is yes. Everyone is born with the true nature, and everyone possesses bright virtue, and everyone has innate bright virtue. But you may wonder why some people are bad. Though everyone has true nature, which is purely good, they are affected by their own karma and bad habits from past lives. Buddha told us that we have reincarnated many times. Our holy teacher told us that we have reincarnated many times over the past 60,000 years, and we may have accumulated bad karmas and bad habits. Furthermore, people are influenced by material desires and bad habits in their current lives. Additionally, they are unaware of their innate virtue. Without the teachings of ancient saints and sages, how could we know about true nature and Tao? True nature is formless, invisible, and intangible. Without education, we cannot discover where this innate virtue lies. When almost all people receive Tao, they know nothing about true nature. People may have learned about human virtues when they are in school, but basically, they have no idea about true nature before receiving Tao. This is why we must first learn about Tao. That's why Confucius founded Confucianism and why Lao Tzu wrote the book Tao Te Ching. They guide people to understand Tao and to show us how to cultivate it. Even the bad people, once they start learning about Tao and begin cultivation, they can manifest their innate virtues and one day become good, even attain Buddhahood. There is a famous saying in Chinese that conveys this idea: 放下屠刀，立地成佛. Put down the butcher's knife and instantly become a Buddha. The essence of meaning to manifest our innate virtue. To summarize, the first principle of the three guiding principles is to manifest our innate virtue. Bright virtue originates from our true nature, which is Tao within us. Everyone has true nature and therefore innate bright virtue. Most people are unaware of this virtue because they are affected by bad karma and bad habits from past lives, as well as obscured by material desires and bad habits in current life. That's why we must learn. That's why we must learn about Tao and cultivate ourselves to get rid of those bad habits. In doing so, we accumulate merits and reduce our material desires. When truly cultivating Tao, our bad habits diminish and good habits grow. Without education, one cannot discover one's innate virtue or restore one's true nature. So the first step is to manifest our innate virtue. This is called self-cultivation. Once we have succeeded in this, we can help others manifest their innate virtues too. This leads to the second guiding principle, Qingming. I have a short story to share with you. Wisdom from Blooming Flower. A temple took in a homeless child who soon became a little monk and began his Buddhist education. Before long, the master noticed some flaws in this boy. He was impatient, boastful, and overly proud. For example, as soon as he learned a few characters, he grabbed a brush and started writing and painting all over the temple. Whenever he grasped a Zen principle, he couldn't resist showing it off to the master and the other monks over and over again. Even more absurd, whenever the master praised him, trying to encourage him, the boy would immediately flaunt it in front of the others. To help him correct these behaviors, the master came up with a plan to inspire and enlighten him. One day, the master gave the little monk a pot of budding flowers and asked him to observe their growth while he was on duty at night. The next day, the boy came running joyfully to the master, holding the flower, and said loudly in front of the other monks, "Master, the flower you gave me are amazing. The buds opened last night, filling the air with fragrance. It was so beautiful and breathtaking. But this morning, the buds closed up again." The master then, in a particularly gentle tone, asked the monk, "Did they disturb you when they bloomed at night?" "No, they opened and closed quietly. How could they bother me?" And the master said, "I see. I thought the flower might have shown off loudly when they are bloomed." The little monk stunned for a moment. His face turned red, and he said, "I understand my mistake, and I regret it. I promise to change my ways." So what is his mistake? He manifests or show off his good deeds. Remember, the first principle is to manifest our good virtues. However, the little monk manifests, or we might say, shows off his good deeds. Common people often show off their good deeds to gain more fame or even fortune. This is typical for ordinary people. We can observe this in our daily lives or on the news. But for a great person, remember that the purpose of the great learning is to teach people how to be great. A great person manifests their good virtues, not their good deeds. They don't show off their good deeds to others. Instead, they silently manifest their innate good virtues. In our temple, you may notice many people quietly doing good deeds without saying much or showing off. And when they speak, they often share the words of Buddha, saints, and sages. This is one way to manifest our innate good virtues without showing off or seeking recognition for our good deeds. Why does the great person manifest their innate virtues? Because they wish others also manifest their own virtues. We cultivate ourselves well, and then we can return to heaven. We also wish our friends, our family, and even more people to return to heaven as well. This is why the ancient saints and sages passed down their great teachings, like Confucianism and Taoism, to future generations. A great person doesn't only think of himself or herself. Great people doesn't only think of themselves. They manifest their virtues and help others manifest theirs as well. This is the idea of Qingming. Now let's move on to the second guiding principle, Qingming. Qingming has three different interpretations. First, Zhu Xi interprets Qingming as Xingming, renewing people. However, later, Wang Yangming disagreed with Zhu Xi and advocated that Qingming is Qingming. In the Holy Interpretation of the Great Learning, the channeling book I introduced earlier, Qingming is Qing Qing Xingming. Let's begin with Zhu Xi's interpretation. The character Xing means new here. It refers to renewing people. However, when we simply say renew people, most people may not understand what it means. Renew originally refers to physically cleansing the body, like bathing to clean the body, making it refreshed. This idea can be extended to spiritual renewal, elevating one's spiritual and moral levels. In here, renewing means clean self spiritually. At last, it can be further extended to helping others eliminate evil and improve their moral character. This is the meaning of renewing people and is fundamental to the Great Learning. The meaning of renew people. First, guide people to eliminate bad habits and immoral thoughts, which means eliminate evil. Second, improve people's moral characters through education, which means do good. 3. Achieve the overall improvement of individuals and society, which means all do good. This is Zhu Xi's interpretation of Qingming, renewing people, and Qing is interpreted as Xing. But Wang Yangming, another great scholar, believed that Qingming was not Xingming. He agreed with Zhu Xi about the need for education and renewal. The Ming part is the same as Zhu's. He preserves the idea of Zhu Xi's Xingming, but he interpreted Qing as very close to cherish or love and take care of. Wang Yangming said that as a ruler or leader, one should show love and care for one's people in addition to renew them. Wang Yangming interpreted Qingming as cherish and renew people. In Holy Interpretation of the Great Learning, in the Holy Interpretation of the Great Learning, Qing refers to cherishing one's family, and it is in order to align with regulating the family in the 8 steps of learning. Qingming's portion remains the same, renewing people. The last 4 steps of the 8 steps of the learning are cultivating self, 修身, regulating family, 齐家, governing state, 治国, and bring peace to the world, 平天下. The 5th step, cultivating self, relates solely to oneself. The 6th step, regulating family, relates to one's family. The last 2 steps, governing state and bring peace to the world, focus on the interactions with others. The idea of Qing, cherish one's family, aligns with the 6th step of the 8 steps of learning, where cultivating oneself leads to regulating one's family, governing the state, and ultimately bringing peace to the world. In addition, the idea of Qing, cherish one's family, aligns with the 6th step of the 8 steps of learning, where cultivating oneself leads to regulating one's family, governing state, and ultimately bringing peace to the world. In addition, the idea of qingqing, cherish one's family, is also mentioned in the doctrine of the mean and the measures. To summarize, Qingming, Zhu Xi saw it simply renewing people, while Wang Yangming added the idea of cherishing people, especially in a leadership role. The holy interpretation emphasized on cherishing one's family as the foundation of renewing people. In essence, the idea of renewing people is to help people eliminate evil, improve moral characters, and grow spiritually through education. This is why education is so crucial. Without it, people don't know what to do or how to improve. To make it simple and easy to understand, I prefer to translate Qingming as renew people. Of course, cherishing people or cherishing one's family helps renewing people, but the key idea here is to renew people. Everyone has an inherent true nature. It comes from heaven. It comes from God. And our innate virtue, which is beautiful and bright, stems from our true nature. We manifest our innate virtues to help. We manifest our innate virtues to let people know the virtues, to let people feel them, and to let people learn to be virtuous. Then we educate people with ancient scriptures and sutras, helping them manifest their innate virtue too. This is the idea of renewing people. In Buddhism, at first, we enlighten ourselves, and then we enlighten others. Manifesting our innate virtue is self-enlightenment, and it depends entirely on you. It is independent of others. Requires us to interact with other people in order to help them manifest their virtues. Ancient saints and sages educated people and helped them understand the idea of true nature and the concept of Tao, and helped them manifest their innate virtues. They understand that everyone has true nature, everyone has Buddha nature, and everyone can manifest their innate virtues. Buddha can attain Buddhahood. Confucius can become a saint. Everyone can too. That's the idea of renewing people. Renew people is helping them eliminate evil and improve moral character through education, and ultimately it leads to 止於至善. I just gave an introduction to the way of the Great Learning from the book The Great Learning. Zengzi mentions 3 guiding principles. The first is 明明德, which is to manifest our innate virtue. The second is 清明, which is to renew people, helping them restore their innocence and true nature and return to their original state. That's the idea of renewing people. Once we do all of these, we will get close to the next and the last, 止於至善. The teachings of Confucius, especially in the Great Learning, are different from Taoism and Buddhism. In Buddhism, Buddha primarily focuses on cultivating the mind. He talks a lot about human desires, the 6 senses, and the 6 roots. All these are related to the mind. Confucianism, however, covers more, especially how to deal with people. It talks about regulating your family to make it harmonious, governing a state, and bringing peace to the world. These are practical guidelines that you can apply to your daily life, work, or job. Even when Confucius talks about governing a country or a state, you can adapt those principles to any organization as long as you are a leader, even if you lead just 2 or 3 persons. The rules and advice Confucius and Zengzi offer about governing a state can help you become a good and successful manager. The Great Learning offers a systematic way to greatness, to be great. The 3 guiding principles 明明德、亲民 and 止于至善 are the core of the teachings. But the most fundamental things is our virtue. Cultivating virtue is essential. We must become moral people. If people perceive you as immoral, how can they learn from you? They won't even want to be your friend. This is the essence of the great learning. We will discuss 止于至善 and the rest of the principles next time. There's a lot of topics in the great learning, but the core idea is simple and easy to understand. The three guiding principles are essential, with the true nature as the fundamental concept. Once you understand the idea of true nature and Tao, reading Confucian texts such as the Great Learning and the Doctrine of the Mean will become much easier. Always keep the true nature in mind and focus on your true nature. When cultivating Tao, don't forget to rediscover and restore your true nature. This is entirely your own task. Others can guide you, but you must walk the path yourself. Everything begins with the Tao. True nature is the Tao within us. If you don't understand the true nature, when reading Confucian texts such as the Great Learning and the Doctrine of the Mean, you only grasp their superficial meaning. But when you truly understand the concept of the true nature, everything deepens, and you can understand the essential teachings of Confucianism. In addition, while the teachings of Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism differ, their essence is the same, true nature. What differs is only the way of cultivation, but their essence is the same, true nature. In Buddhism, it is called Buddha nature, and in the Tao Te Ching, it is called Valley Spirit, and also Tao. I will end my speech here. For any mistake I made, I apologize to God and Buddha, and your suggestions and corrections are welcome. Thank you very much.